trust me, to read so much and understand how each story kind of adds up, and how Shivaji Maharaj also kind of was part of that, where he kind of had people work with the Dutch, understand the shipbuilding, and then there are these parts of the forest which are specially grown, which allow for the trees to grow, that are used for shipbuilding. And I was like, it's like as good as a movie. The reclamation that happens on different parts of our city, as in, I'm not just talking about coastal road, the Bandra reclamation itself. So if you kind of go down and look at, say, a 95 or a 98 and 2000, then you'll see the reclamation that is happening towards Bandra side, and then the coastal road, the Bandravali Sea Link that connected. It's only after that that the Shivaji Park beach has disappeared, and that was part of my thesis also, kind of retrofitting the coastal infrastructure, because we cannot ignore that. We cannot say that the city didn't want it. It wants it. It needs it. But then we need to kind of be very mindful of how it is impacting our core essence as an islander, where one could kind of walk down, one could be with the ocean, sea, Arabian Sea in that regards. And now we are just kind of a bystander, where we'll be at the edge and look at the sea. And that's where the context works around that. We cannot say that we are against development, but then this development should be very ecologically centric also. When I'd gone to Sri Lanka, Unnavatuna was known as among the 10 best beach in the world, and it also disappeared after tsunami. So I said, if tsunami made the beach disappear, and if our infrastructure is making the beach disappear, then are we equating the problems? As in, I'm not saying that it's the same problem, but it is doing something different. It's changing the course of how the natural elements worked for the city for so long.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Landscape Guru, a podcast where we explore people, stories and ideas that shape the world of landscape architecture. In today's episode, we are joined by architect Anuj Gudekar, a landscape architect educator who beautifully bridges the academic and professional realms. His grounded approach to design, to education and city making, especially in the context of Mumbai, offers a lot to reflect on. So stay tuned and watch the full conversation. Hello, I'm Mrunal and welcome to the show Landscape Guru. Today we have architect Anuj Gudekar sir with us. Welcome sir on the show.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
So I have completed my architecture from LS Raheja School of Architecture, and he has been my mentor for all those 5 years. So I am really excited and glad to have him here today.
So it's our pleasure to kind of go back to our students, not students anymore though, but yes, to professionals who kind of are taking the profession ahead, explaining what our field is, and kind of it's really interesting and inspiring at the same time. So I'm glad that I'm here.
Okay, so sir, let's start with the basics, but from your lens. Landscape is generally misunderstood or oversimplified. So if you had to explain it to someone who have never heard about it, how would you describe what we do as landscape architects?
Yeah, in a way what you're saying is right. It's kind of there's a misconception of landscape or landscape architects. It's sometimes it's as demeaning as kind of calling them malis, but trust me, to an extent, jhad, phool patti, what somebody would say. But I would say that if inculcated, I understand that the entire curriculum of 5 years of Bachelor's of Architecture it's action packed as it is, but if kind of the formative years allow for landscape to be part of this, what landscape does is it's kind of it makes one understand the ebbs and flows of the land itself, not bound by the boundary walls or the plot boundary. It talks about the top, down, bottom, left, right, everything, how the land is formed over the years. It's not us who kind of talk about just putting a retaining wall and kind of taking the engineering component of the land. It's about understanding the natural flow, and I think if that works, I'm sure a lot of us would kind of be very good in how we analyze do the analysis of the site itself. and that would help. So how your, I could be wrong, but how engineering has these formative years where all the streams are doing the same course for these first 2 years. If that sort is kind of imbibed in our education, it would help, because these are the formative years, and that's when, and as we kind of progress year wise, when we add the technical understanding for every component of it, I think this kind of is a groundwork that is required, and it will help ahead.
Yeah. So, sir, let's go back to your journey. So, you started architecture like many of us, and then you chose to do specialization in landscape. So, what was that moment of clarity when you decided to pursue masters in landscape architecture?
So I finished my architecture in 2005. I worked for 2 years. Working helped in terms of understanding your professional career as to what happens on site. Academics is one part, but then that academics is implemented, curated, polished when you are in an office. Then I thought I went abroad for my masters in sustainable buildings, energy efficient and sustainable buildings to be precise. There, though it was a very kind of a, it's a masters in science, so it has not necessarily only architecture but a lot of technology, building physics, all those were there. But hindsight, when I look at it, it had a lot of understanding of land, of the corresponding to land, the bioregional approach that was, as in, all these were part of it. And as I kind of came back, I started teaching. As a teacher also, you evolve over the time. So because the programs that you curate for your design studios, or your for your electives, or your for environmental science, we kind of are kind of constantly evolving ourselves also. And then I saw there is a clear link between the two, and when I got an opportunity to do my masters, I couldn't think of anything else better than landscape, because it made more holistic, where I'm an architect, I'm a consultant with energy efficiency, and adding tagging along with the knowledge that comes across from the course of landscape, it kind of made it a holistic approach.
Yeah. So you have balanced both practice and teaching. So what pulled you in teaching? Because it is not something is always picked up by fresh designers, because it is a different kind of commitment. So what pulled you in teaching, and what is keeping you there?
So what got me into teaching was destiny, I think, because I came back from my masters. The economic downturn was there, and that time, as I came, obviously I came to meet my mentors, my teachers, who had kind of helped me shape up. So they asked me, why don't you kind of, since there is slowdown, kind of, why don't you get into teaching? And got into that. And like I said, the first subject that I ever taught was climatology. It was as a role of a visiting faculty, because I also never intended to kind of get into full-time teaching.
Sure.
And but the enjoyment that came through, obviously the kids, the students are from a next generation, so they picked up. Like I said, I just kind of term it to destiny, because it just kind of added up and everything, and we enjoyed it so much that our engagement with the students was that great, in terms of you've been one of our
Yes.
students. So it just kind of pulled it, and now it's been 15 odd years, and I don't think I can do anything else now. So yeah, that's where we
Yeah,
are.
because it was very friendly kind of environment
Yeah.
that you keep up, and it is great to. So every designer has the earlier memory that connect in the field. Maybe it is a site, a landscape, or a book, or maybe a city moment. So what's your earliest memory that connected you with this field more than just a subject?
So collectively, it had a lasting impression, because every year, as a child, you go back to your village, you see a lot of things, and you think it's magic, but actually, it's not magic. It's the science of understanding the earth,
Right.
understanding the contextuality, understanding one's responsibility, and that always was in back of my mind. And as you kind of grow up with your education and architecture and everything else that you do, it kind of everything adds up, and sometimes it kind of comes across that life is simple, it's not complicated, in terms of a lot of countries, a lot of cultures have been kind of thriving all these years, because we just kind of managed a lot of things. the way we respecting the natural resources, and that made a lot of sense, and hence I think that has been a lasting impression. And hence the first thing that we tell everybody is that to win your battle, first is understand your land, and two is orient correctly, and you've done the job.
Correct. So let's talk in terms of Mumbai's landscape. So Mumbai is a city, it always negotiates between the water and the land, and also the density and the ecology. So what is that? What do you say? What is your perspective in your vision? How is the Mumbai's relationship with its natural geography is changing?
So here I'll attribute, as an understanding of our city itself, I'll attribute a lot of it to the master's course, the mentors that we had who taught us, is in terms of, again, like a destinies thing. We were in middle of the COVID, so we couldn't go out a lot for any of the case studies or any of other subjects. So a lot of our study was to do with Mumbai, and that's where we kind of dissected the entire history of Mumbai that it came up across to. When we read gazettes, we understood what Mumbai was, how it, the ebbs and flows of it, the development plans, and how they shaped the city itself, the will to kind of execute, or the economics to execute those development plans. And
So was this part of the master's study?
yes,
Okay.
yes. At various stages through the 6 semesters that we did, it came in different parcels, but it kind of collectively kind of added up, and essentially our HOD Urmila ma'am, she also kind of helped us build it, because it was always told to us that your thesis is not just the final project; it is an extension which you can take it ahead and look it as a lifelong project, or something that you take ahead with. So understanding the city itself was important, and like I said, that as a child, we are not from the generation who had the cell phones, access to cell phones. So most of the time we were out, and we were out and about. So beaches is something that we spent a lot of time. I stay in four bungalows, so again, beach was just across. So early morning bike rides to kind of late evenings going with friends and all. Beach and sea was something. It's we are an islander, so it's something that comes naturally to us. Unfortunately, once you kind of are in the rut of 9 to 5, you forget the beach. It's only when you kind of cross as in on your way, you might see the sea or beach or something like that. But then how the city has grown is it's a very interesting study, and I'm sure a lot of us should kind of look into it, not take things for granted in terms of what our city is and how much it gives to us.
Can you share one of such significant points that you?
So a lot of my cousins are from Shivaji Park. So Shivaji Park beach is something very close to us, from kind of catching snails from the shore during low tide, playing cricket on the ground, or just loitering around on the beach was something very close to us. And that had a lot of memory for us, as all of us cousins used to kind of meet during vacations. A lot of festivals that happen, for even for that matter, Seven Bungalows or Shivaji Park or Chopati, your Ganesh Utsav happens. So it's the natural way for us that we looked at the beach. It was a way for us to be one with the water, in terms of we could walk down and then could touch the sea. So that was something very close to me, and that's how things went ahead in terms of while doing my masters. That was one concern, because again, kind of going back to understanding that as a child, where I could go walk down the beach and touch the water, the Arabian Sea. Now I cannot do that, because now the beach has come close to me, and that's where, if you look at the coast of the edge of Shivaji Park, it's now very similar to what Marine Line says. It's your tetrapods and the water touching it. And this year the monsoon, as in it's not only this year, the past few 5-6 years, the monsoon has been severe, and the people along the edge are kind of facing this problem, are complaining. So the question kind of arise as to where did the beach disappear, and that's where the masters in landscape, or landscape as a subject, helped me kind of to understand through the education that we go through, understanding I'm sorry, overlaying your maps, overlaying what has happened over the years. And that's when you realize that the reclamation that happens on different parts of our city, as in I'm not just talking about coastal road, the Bandra reclamation itself. So if you kind of go down and look at say a 95 or a 98 and 2000, then you'll see the reclamation that is happening towards Bandra side, and then the coastal road, the Bandravali Sea Link that connected. It's only after that that the Shivaji Park beach has disappeared, and that was part of my thesis also, kind of look retrofitting the coastal infrastructure, because we cannot ignore that. We cannot say that the city didn't want it. It wants it. It needs it. But then we need to kind of be very mindful of how it is impacting our core essence as an islander, where one could kind of walk down, one could be with the ocean, sea, Arabian Sea in that regards. And now we are just kind of a bystander where we'll be at the edge and look at the sea. And that's where the context works around that. We cannot say that we are against development, but then this development should be very ecologically centric also.
So yeah, like you said, coastal road project, is someone see it as a visionary and someone see it as a ecological disruption. So in cities like Mumbai, how do you, from your perspective, how do you keep this balance between what large scale infrastructure needs and the ecological sensitivity?
So again, it's like a double-edged sword for everyone. It's as in for the administrator, for us as citizens, for us as educators or architects, landscape architects, planners. Some part of this coastal road was already proposed in 1948. Your Atal Setu was also proposed in 1972. We couldn't do it then because we didn't have the finances. Now, after when the finances came into play, we are doing it. One might say that it's a delayed thing, but nobody is leaving Mumbai. It's everyone, as in we are looking at various aspects where we are seeing that okay, there is a second Mumbai, third Mumbai, fourth Mumbai, but in core essential Mumbai is being Mumbai. It's been whatever 50 odd years and things have not changed. If anything, it's only that we added to the existing density that we had. So in hindsight, these kind of infrastructure helps revive places that were otherwise ignored, in terms of your south of Mumbai, where everything from there was shifting towards your Bandra Kurla complex. Now that kind of allows for a lease of life, but maybe kind of hence it's an important infrastructure, but maybe one could have looked at in a more ecologically sensitive way, where how you kind of go ahead and look beyond it in terms of as a continuity for us to be Mumbaikars, and where we say that we are islanders and we cannot essentially take that away from us as a city. So that's something very crucial. So it's like I said, it's a double-edged sword where we have to balance, we as in the city, the planners, architects, landscape architects, everyone has to get together, plan to it, and kind of be very local about the solutions. As in we are saying that with the infrastructure, obviously it pegs us higher in the order of development, but every developed country or a city also has an underlying tone of its own cultural backing that it has. And for that extent, if I start from VT and come to even Dadar and beyond, every station has its own character.
Right.
And hence, now that we are kind of tying coastal road together, the cars just move around. Somebody had nicely said that we've never seen this side of Mumbai, but in terms of we are looking at this side of Mumbai at a very fast pace. Right. So when we are saying that we are connecting and kind of doing this parks that are continuous from one edge to the other, let's kind of be very contextual. Let's kind of allow people to kind of establish those zones or those limits where I can still feel like a Lal Bagh, I can still feel like a Dadar, I can still feel like a Prabha Devi, I can still feel like a Nepean Road. That should not go away. It should not kind of become like a very international modern park where we are like typically talking about cycling tracks and all these things that come along. It's let's be true to what we were, give impetus to indigenous species, look at species that can withstand the settings that we have created now, and maybe kind of look at a positive future.
Exactly, like my mom and dad, also my grandfather, who has been born and brought up in Mumbai. Now they feel, when they go at some places, they feel very alien, because what it was then and
Yes.
what it is now has changed completely. I mean, the progress and development is going to happen, but the essence and the culture that you talked
True.
about, that we need to take care of. And also we talked about solutions. So in Mumbai's context, when we are working on various projects, uh, on the name of what do you call balance, or like for example, if we are disrupting some kind of ecology at one place, to balance that out, or to so to recover that kind of disruption, you plant trees or you do something at other on other land.
Greenwash.
So how do you see it as sensible, or how it is effective?
Like I said, it's a greenwash, and in one of these, I forgot who spoke about it, but it's they use the term "emperor's new green clothes." And if you
Okay.
know the story about emperor's new clothes, it is that it's literally a greenwash, where a disturbance caused in one place and a remedy done in other place really doesn't make sense. So you need to be very particular about what you do. So your environmental impact analysis, your kind of the everything else kind of looks into it. But those solutions also should be rooted to where the problem is foreseen. Because like I said, that when Shivaji Park disappeared as a beach, my first thing was when I'd gone to Sri Lanka. Unnavatuna was known as among the 10 best beach in the world, and it also disappeared after tsunami.
Acha.
So I said, if tsunami made the beach disappear, and if our infrastructure is making the beach disappear, then are we equating the problems? As in, I'm not saying that it's the same problem, but it is doing something different. It's changing the course of how the natural elements work for the city for so long, and
Right.
that's what it is. As in, we need to be very, we need to kind of look at the future that our children are going to look at, be, and kind of call Mumbai their own homes, are allowed to kind of be around. As in I'm sure everyone is struggling to kind of get their children out and about in the city, as opposed to kind of sitting in front of a device or in a room. But yeah, kind of exploring, seeing your own city, exploring things. They should also have these memories of how city was for their generations to tell. And the whole idea about sustainability is to able to withstand and continue the processes that we enjoyed, and let the next generation enjoy too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how do you take these topics or problems into the studio?
So now it is interesting because after your batch itself, the course had changed, the curriculum had changed, and it allowed for a lot of inserts that one could do. So now we have a lot of electives that kind of talk about cities in a different way, where kind of the sustainable aspect in me talks about class and effectiveness of class, but then there are others who talk about the physical geography of a city, storytelling, fiction. So now we as a industry, we as a community of architects, planners, landscape architects, we are kind of pushing ourselves to kind of innovate our things, because that's the way ahead in terms of how you kind of keep students interested in a lot of things. So the environmental science that we teach in essentially from first to 10th, ninth semester and beyond, is we make it interesting, we make it more relevant. We kind of now we use technology. I'm sure that when you were a student, using a mobile phone in a class was something that we did not allow.
Correct.
But now it has changed. Now, if we say something and somebody's taking out the phone and checking it up on the phone, it's encouraged as opposed to just forgetting about it. So we also kind of use these mediums to kind of constantly update students about things that are happening, discuss it at the class level, so that there are those many heads talking about it. It's not only looking at maybe a development side story of it, but the ecological side story. Somebody will pick it up, and that's where these two sides kind of start taking up, a debate kind of thing happens, and then it's an interesting discussion because both sides are put forth. A discussions happens in from there, and then it takes ahead. And likewise, for the design subjects, we take up these essential topics which allow for engagement with the culture, the people of that place, and we kind of allow for that these first the formative weeks of that studio for children to express, make comic books, make reels, because that's their tool to express. So do those things, kind of come across, talk to people, narrate your story through your medium, then they kind of accept it, they kind of embrace it, and then the design that comes out of it is more relevant for us in that regard. So it makes a lot of sense. And likewise, I said that the curriculum change, it allowed for us to take thesis in a very different way.
Okay.
So as a mentor in my school, but I also as somebody who takes jury in other colleges also, I've seen a lot of kind of an increased effort in kind of keeping land as a important resource and kind of looking around it. So somebody might look it through the lens of culture, somebody might look it as the lens of adaptation to climate change. But now there is a more impetus given to land as a key hero as to how it deals with all these added lenses to it.
We spoke about culture and how we keep it intact in the ongoing process or the development. Can you elaborate more on that?
So, see, the thing is, we are imbibed in this culture. We are so kind of cosmopolitan about it. We'll it's not only say one particular religion or a festival, that it's everything that goes along with it, and that's the fun part of being a Mumbaikar and being part of this city. It kind of goes in it how these shape, and like I said that when we are saying that our kids are this thing, but on those days also the kids come out, they enjoy things, and kind of a backstory of that for one of these vacation kind of thing, I was supposed to go to Alibag, and there was a detour. So basically a Google map who's kind of learning from us itself, it took me a detour from Paid, and that's where kind of I went across a village which only deals with making the idols, and my daughter was thrilled. One is kind of everything around it was green fields, and wherever there is a small hamlet kind of thing, there are Ganpatis of different sizes and shapes and doing whatever the imagination of the sculptor is. And it was really like she always asks, when are we doing again? And that's kind of brings to that this all kind of connects with us, and we need to take our children, our generation, move ahead in terms of not only part of the city, but how we kind of move ahead, make them the citizen of the country and the world, is where we educate them of what happens. And an interesting story what I did that as part of my second year landscape, second semester landscape, was rural landscape. We went to Dhamapur. Now, before that, I had no clue of what Dhamapur is, as in spite of being from the western coast. It's a village which is known for its dam, which is 500-year-old, and it isn't the only earth dam that exists.
Oh.
And because of that dam, the villages around never faces drought situation, whereas villages on that side, on that part of the country, have faced droughts in the summers. And that's the whole essence of understanding how is this happening, how is this intervention, and again it's a natural intervention to that extent. If one is understanding where a dam should, where one should build a dam so that a lake thrives, how the edges of the lake are the kind of biggest hotspot, the riparian edges give to rise to a different ecology. Again, nothing invasive, everything natural, everything grows in its own space and lets other cycles move around it. And that was an interesting study, and where it really kind of hit me in terms of how we kind of go ahead was we were asked to do kind of, when we are doing these kind of subjects, rural landscape, cultural landscape, we're always asked to kind of take a step back and look at the elements of our study. And various different classmates, somebody picked up the river, somebody picked up the lake, somebody looked at the idols that are there. I thought I'll kind of move ahead, step back, and kind of take people as my element. And my teachers also like people as in people tree. I said no, people as in human beings. They said, why are you doing that? I said, because when we were kind of moving around the village itself, there were 3 schools, but they were empty. There are houses, but they were empty. and the pictures that I clicked, one of them only had a drawstring and only hangers on it. And while kind of scrolling back and looking at them, I like, there are homes but there are no people. And that's where everyone is moved to a city, everyone is moved out of the city, and what this village is essentially is where are only the eldermost generation that is there. And I think it's a sorry state that so much is being put in as an infrastructure for the villages, but there are no people there. And that kind of also kind of made me understand that this is something that we need to kind of look at in terms of making our villages, hometowns, some as thriving as our cities, because that once we once we do that, we don't need a second Mumbai, third Mumbai, whatever it is.
Exactly.
The technology is enough there now, and a lot of people had moved down to their native places during COVID, and it worked then. So why not now? So that was an interesting aspect, and to kind of go along with it, we were asked to help the people of the village to generate a report, be part of the report where we could kind of talk about the conservation of the lake, because there were other infrastructural this thing that came across and which would affect the edge of the lake as that matter. And again, kind of landscape is understanding the history, and it's not history is one would say that who was the king and what it did. It was about the contribution of the knowledge that was a hand me down that went across, and that we kind of understood the knowledge of water architecture from the south through their ministers, through their people kind of moved across. And this is where the story of the idol, the religion that they followed, the subcaste that they followed, and that was the influence where the entire tying up happened. And that's where he said that now if this is a rich part of our culture, this is influenced from that, and that kind of help tie things together. And that's where a lot of our culture is about. It's the hybrid that we've kind of generated across our cultures, learning from one another, is something that we need to kind of understand. And a lot of learning is here itself. Don't need to ape the West. Is a lot of things we can do by ourselves here. And I think it's just that take a step back, read what we did, or understand what we did, or the medium of social media or videos that a lot of our generation kind of caters to, is spread the message through this, because a lot of our seeds of future are already there. We just need to kind of look at them again.
So what was the outcome of your study? Like you must have prepared some reports, and then design intervention was the part of your...
Yeah, so this was, what happens in rural landscape is kind of understanding the different cultures, the different communities, how they kind of tie together. And it's because it's the second semester, it's just gearing us also to kind of for the next semester as to the understanding, analysis, and what all happens. Because I remember the first day of my landscape course, we were asked to draw whatever, and I was drawing a tree, and I'm a little better in drawing, so I was drawing a tree, and my teacher was like, no. I said, now what is the problem? Then I shaded it. She said, no. I said, I drew human beings.
What do you want?
So what? And I couldn't ask, I don't know, as in, I like, what else? So then he said, you forgot the grass below the tree. I said, now that's something important, and that's where the landscape architect moves ahead in terms of, even one of my students, as in two of my students had, when they first drew the site section, and they had shown banana plants in the section. And I said, yaar, itna saal we did architecture, I never saw anybody showing banana tree. A tree was always to kind of beautify the section. But I think two of them were like, I told them on their face that these many years I had never seen anybody draw a banana plant in their section or an elevation. So it was something that I went back to that, and I said, so now when, again, the small anecdotes that come across when I was doing my landscape, it sticks with me. So now anybody else comes, as in, obviously you understand and you change it, tell them कि यहाँ पे grass आएगा, कौन सा grass आएगा, क्या आएगा, बाद में समझेंगे, but there will be something else, because if it is thriving, there has to be another life form below. So that was the case, and coming back to your question, as to it was purely documenting, understanding all these things, so that the next semester when we do it's cultural landscape, and that's where a lot of our study that we did on our second semester design kind of helped us, is to looking at Kalyan, and that was a game changer for me, because even our faculty was, it was peak COVID to COVID time, so not that we were moving out of our homes, but I said, have you been to Kalyan? I said, no. I said, you've been in Mumbai for all this while, you never. I said, no. That's a sorry state. But then when we start reading, and I was amazed at the rich history that that city has, the Ullas River, and I don't know, it is part of my, as in I'm sure some of my kids must be mocking कि ये कल्याण के बारे में बात करेगा ही, ये उल्लास रिवर के बारे में ये सर बोलेंगे ही बोलेंगे, and he'll talk about everything else. But trust me, to read so much and understand how each story kind of adds up, and how Shivaji Maharaj also kind of was part of that, where he kind of had people work with the Dutch, understand the shipbuilding, and then there are these parts of the forest which are specially grown, which allow for the trees to grow, that are used for shipbuilding. And I was like, it's like as good as a movie, as in any of these good movies that come across. And then everything tied up, and I'm like, wow, isn't so much knowledge is there, and so much was there. And luckily for me, I was doing Kalyan, and I'm sure my seniors, when they did various other studies every year, were taken to different places. And the amount of work that comes across in a landscape portfolio, because it's not only like maybe 2 studios of site analysis. Here the site analysis is the major hero, and the good fun part was my teachers, as in this masters I did later in life, when I think I was 37 or 38 year old. So some of my teachers were younger than me. So, but again, they went through the rut of kind of hand drawing to that extent from when they were doing their masters. They did obviously, say 2014, 18, whatever. So they're like, नहीं नहीं वो draw करना है आपको. But I said, if I sit and draw these things, I understand. I come from the school where you need to hand draw and do a lot of things. But I said, अगर मैं draw करने में 2 दिन 4 दिन निकाल दूँ, तो मैं analysis कब करूँगा? And that's where there was a shift, and there was a debate. There was always a resistance and support from the faculty team itself. कि यार, we spend that much time. I said, but let's kind of forget about it, as in let's use all these heads to analyze, as opposed to just putting things on paper. Let things come on paper. We have this much technology, as in obviously the Google Earth is the source, but then there are so many other sources that allows for you to kind of overlay, and the decision making becomes more easier in terms of कि हाँ ये भी तो हो सकता है, and then you overlay something. I said, oh, there is another story. Then kind of go back, read your whatever resources you have, kind of come back, talk to people, and corroborate those stories. And that's why a lot of impetus I would kind of give to landscape. And this, what you see behind me also, is like one of my thesis student, obviously is being mentored here, but a lot of impetus is kind of going towards it. So when we were speaking about the subject itself, I said it's picking up, as in it is picking up right now. It is being valued a lot. It is it's been looked at something like a major subject. It's not just a light subject anymore, where the storytelling takes over a lot of your narrative, and that allows you to do that. It might come across that, okay, now that this person has done this master, and hence he's talking about, but no, as it while doing my course in couple of the first year or semester 2 or something, I was just talking to my HOD and Urmila ma'am, and we were just talking. She said, no, actually there are schools that do undergrad in landscape. I said, wow, that's something interesting which I was not aware of. It's a 4-year course, but I said, this I had not known, because I understand the curriculum doesn't allow you to kind of spend that much time when it is architect B.Arch, but we need to give that time and use right now. Isn't if time was a concern, use our resources that are available, and that's why it kind of I tie things up, because use the technology that is there. It's so much technology that right now I can sit here and tell you what the weather will be tomorrow. Again, it's an app on the phone, which again it's an app free, as in I'm not doing anything. I'm not even analyzing it. It's just telling me that I just click one button and it tells me that weather for the next 2 days, which maybe back in the day when I in 2005 I said, "Oh, this country has such a fantastic technology, they can predict." Now all of those things I hear, and this is something great that kind of happens now. So use this resource, take this ahead, and I'm sure it is going to make a lot of difference. It is making, rather, I would say that it is making a lot of difference in the way we are shaping our architects and eventually kind of asking them to kind of ask the right questions. And I think landscape provides that solution to a lot of places.
So thank you, sir. From your conversation, you have explained us that architecture is not only about green spaces. It is about connection. It is about responsibilities and culture. So yeah, thank you for sharing your experiences
My
and
pleasure.
your reflections with
My
us.
pleasure. It was actually my pleasure to kind of do this, do the service to what landscape has given to me and how it allows me to kind of take my career ahead in terms of as a teacher. Because like I said, I think right now I can only teach, so it only helps me to kind of take this ahead. And I owe it to all those people who kind of shaped me to do this. And thank you very
You
much.
also have one venture that you have started. Would you like to mention about it?
The the mention in terms of all the mentors that we had in the course, and again it was a good mix of people who have done their landscape from reputed schools of the city itself, of the country itself. And as a student, yes, that was a kind of a question that we had. What is this person saying, what is that person saying? But hindsight, it kind of everything gelled together with the expertise of Urmila ma'am, Devani ma'am, Rishikesh sir, and trust me, they are not on the same page. So kind of to satisfy everyone's needs in that, or understand what they would need, and how we kind of go ahead, was really interesting. And it kind of pushed us to a different level, and it kind of helps us to take this ahead, the journey of that whatever we've imbibed from them, to take this ahead.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for being
It's
here.
my pleasure.
Yeah. Hope you all have realized how landscape improves your quality of life. For more such conversation about the field, do like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.